Every person, at one point or another, has dreamed of untold wealth. Some are drawn to fame and success that brings money, while others dream of a life where they can afford everything. However, few consider the darker side of wealth that hides beneath the glamour of luxury. The murder of Honey and Barry Sherman remains one of the most mysterious crimes in Canada. On a cold December morning, Canadian billionaire businessman Barry Sherman and his wife Honey were found dead in their mansion, hanging from the railings near their indoor swimming pool. What followed was an investigation that revealed unexpected twists. Barry Sherman was born in 1942 in Toronto, Canada. His father ran a small business, but when Barry was 10, his father died of heart failure. Barry's mother worked as a doctor to support the family. From a young age, Barry stood out among his peers due to his incredible intelligence. He studied engineering at the University of Toronto in the early 1960s. During the summers, he helped his mother by working part-time as a truck driver for a pharmaceutical company owned by his uncle, Louis Winter. Barry's career path eventually led him to earn both a doctorate and a bachelor's degree in astrophysics from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. However, Barry had bigger plans for his future. His uncle's pharmaceutical company, Empire, faced tragedy in 1965 when Louis Winter and his wife Beverly died of cancer, leaving behind 4 young sons. Barry, at just 22 years old, boldly tried to gain control of the company. His initial offers were rejected, but after years of negotiation, he took over the company and eventually sold it for nearly $2 million. Barry went on to found his own pharmaceutical company, Apotex, in 1974. He positioned himself as an advocate for affordable medicine, challenging industry giants like Pfizer and Bayer. He famously referred to himself as the Robin Hood of the pharmaceutical world. His controversial business practices made him both admired and disliked. Barry married Honey in 1971. Honey, born in an Austrian displaced persons camp after World War II, was actively involved in charity work and the Jewish community. Over the years, the couple built a life together, donating millions to causes they believed in. However, not all was well within the family. Barry's cousins, the sons of his late uncle, became suspicious of Barry's actions in the family business. They fought a bitter lawsuit to claim part of the fortune Barry had amassed, which eventually led to significant tension. On December 15, 2017, the couple's bodies were discovered under strange circumstances. Cleaning staff and real estate agents who entered their home were the first to find their bodies. Both Barry and Honey were found hanging from the railings near the pool, with no obvious signs of injury. Initial thoughts suggested the couple may have died in a double suicide, but further investigation ruled this out. The police, however, struggled to make significant progress in the investigation. The Sherman family, unconvinced by the police's initial findings, hired a well-known criminal lawyer to conduct an independent investigation. The family believed the couple was murdered, not driven to suicide. The case was further complicated by the involvement of Barry's cousins, who had long-standing issues with him over the family business. After extensive investigation, it was suggested that the murder may have been connected to these unresolved conflicts. Sherman's pharmaceutical fortune was claimed to have been built at the expense of his father's company. Empire Sherman, his father, founded the pharmaceutical company Apotex, and Barry Sherman allegedly demanded his share of it. Sherman denied all charges, resisting and demanded that his cousins return the millions of dollars he had given them in the late 80s. He stated that he had done everything possible to help them, and this claim was confirmed on September 15, 2017, 3 months before Barry and Honey Sherman were found dead. An Ontario judge sided with Sherman, dismissing his cousin's claim, calling it wishful thinking and more than fantastical. On December 6, just a week before the Shermans were last seen alive, the judge issued another ruling, ordering the cousins to pay $300,000 in legal fees. Barry Miller, one of the cousins, was unhappy with the amount, as he had wanted nearly $1 million. Sherman instructed his lawyers to appeal the decision, and they filed the appeal the morning after his funeral. As a result, Barry Sherman was tried literally from the grave. The ongoing conflict with his cousins led many to suspect their involvement in the murders of the couple. One of the cousins, Carrie Winter, said in an interview that he had dreamed of micking Barry Sherman at work, cutting his throat, decapitating him, and rolling his head across the parking lot. Winter said he was not surprised when the tragedy happened. He was convinced that Barry had killed his wife, Honey, and then killed himself. Carrie also stated in several interviews that years earlier, Barry had asked him to organize the murder of his wife. According to Winter, Barry turned to him in his office and said, "Carrie, I want you to do me a favor and kill my wife." Carrie was shocked and asked, "Okay, Barry, you want me to kill your wife?" Barry responded, "Yes, I hate her. I'm not saying you're the one who should do it, but you probably know people who could." However, when Carrie was ready to fulfill the request in gratitude for past favors, Barry suddenly backed out, refusing the idea. The Sherman family categorically denied the statement, arguing that Barry and Honey were not close enough for him to ask such a thing. They also believed that Barry could not live without Honey and would never have considered such an action. Carrie Winter maintained that he had nothing to do with the murders. He admitted that he felt complete contempt and hatred for Barry Sherman, claiming that Barry had offended him, dishonored his father, deceived him, and betrayed him. Despite this, he insisted, "I have nothing to do with the deaths of Barry and Honey Sherman." Winter claimed that on the day of the murder, he was at work all day. In the evening, he attended a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, then went home as usual, watched a movie, ate, and fell asleep. The next morning he went to work again. But since he lived alone, no one could confirm his story. 3 years later, in November 2020, detectives changed their stance on the tragedy. The police announced that they had a suspect, but 2 days later, they said that there might be several suspects. No clarification has emerged regarding this matter. A year later, in December 2021, law enforcement agencies published recordings from surveillance cameras near the Sherman home. The videos showed a man dressed in dark clothing walking along the sidewalk next to Barry and Honey's house. Detectives noted that the man had an unusual gait, possibly due to walking in the snow. The time of the sighting coincided with the time of the murder. However, the man in the video was never identified, and no one was able to recognize him. Investigators were only able to determine his height, which appeared to be between 170 to 180 centimeters. The police hoped that publishing the footage would lead to his identification, but no one came forward. The police investigated the phone locations of hundreds of people connected to the couple at the time in an attempt to link them to the suspect, but this also proved unsuccessful. According to the official version of the police, Honey Sherman arrived home around 8:30 p.m. on December 13, 2017, in her champagne-colored Lexus. She parked as usual and entered through the door leading to the laundry room in the kitchen. The intruders were likely already inside. It is speculated that she was attacked either as soon as she entered or after she went into the bathroom. This would explain why the cleaning lady found her phone. Honey was beaten and strangled on the first floor before her body was moved to the basement. A forensic expert suggested that the bruises on Honey's face could have been caused by being dragged down the stairs to the pool. There were 2 sets of stairs in the house, but it was not determined which one was used. It is possible the bruise resulted from Honey resisting, which caused the killers to use more force. There was also speculation that the criminal had a personal motive for attacking Honey. One unlikely theory suggested that the killer encountered Honey outside and attacked her there, then used her keys to enter the house. This would explain the absence of forced entry. Another possibility was that the killer entered through an unlocked window or door. Barry Sherman, who left Apotex at about 8:30 p.m., drove off in his Mustang. After arriving home, he drove into the garage and could have entered the house through one of 2 doors. It is believed he chose the door near the stairs, where he was attacked by the criminals waiting by the unlocked garage doors. This could explain why his documents and gloves were found there. The bodies of the victims were placed next to the swimming pool in the basement, with belts pulled around their necks. Coats were draped over their shoulders, and Barry's glasses were placed around his neck. It seemed that the killers may have staged the scene to make it appear as if there were no intruders, and possibly to mislead the investigation into believing that Barry had committed the murder. Regarding the financial situation of the Sherman family, Barry kept a tight grip on the family's finances. He didn't hesitate to spend money on his children, giving them millions of dollars. However, he was frugal with himself and his wife. Despite his wealth, Barry drove a modest Mustang, and the couple did not indulge in luxuries, unlike many other billionaires. Barry even forced his wife to return a sports car she bought him for his 50th birthday because he didn't like the extravagance. Honey, on the other hand, enjoyed some of the perks of their wealth, such as beautiful jewelry, a Lexus SUV, and shopping trips to New York with her sister. Jack Kay, CEO of Apotex, recalled how Honey and Barry visited his house, and Honey, upon seeing an outdoor pool, remarked that she wished they could afford one. She later told Barry she wanted a new house with a pool. In the last months of her life, Honey focused on building a large new home. In November 2016, she purchased a prime plot of land in the fashionable Forest Hill area. The plan was to demolish the existing house and build a large dream house with a pool, elevator, and a retractable skylight. However, just 2 weeks before the tragedy, the house they were living in was put up for sale as a modern architectural masterpiece. This raised questions, as the new house had not even begun construction. The last weeks of Honey's life were also filled with her charitable work. In late November, she received the Senate's 150th anniversary medal for her volunteer efforts, presented by her close friend, Senator Froom Ashes. Honey had been an ambassador for Apotex, using her charm and determination to build alliances with influential people. Meanwhile, Barry had been pursuing an aggressive legal strategy and often filed lawsuits, including over 1,200 cases in his career, 83 of which were against Health Canada. In the final months of life, Barry Sherman faced various challenges, both personal and professional. Apotex was embroiled in multiple legal battles, including a lawsuit over price fixing and espionage allegations. Despite all this, Sherman remained a workaholic, always focused on business and rarely taking breaks. He trusted his instincts and made risky decisions, such as agreeing to a business venture without seeing the full details. In the end, Barry Sherman's success, his aggressive legal tactics, and his careless attitude towards security may have contributed to his tragic end. Despite knowing he had many enemies, Sherman took few precautions. The police believed the killer was likely an unknown man who had knowledge of the Shermans' routine. Honey's death, they believe, was accidental. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time. The investigation into the murders remains unsolved. Despite offers of a $35 million reward and extensive investigation, no significant leads have emerged. The case continues to raise suspicions that those in the highest circles of society may be involved, which some believe may prevent the truth from ever being uncovered. Thank you for watching.